Assassin's Creed is an old game and a long franchise. Many numbers know what greater numbers don't know. I am a huge Assassin's Creed fan. Massive, in fact. And given that 2020 is coming to an end, I've set myself an extremely unrealistic goal of reviewing all the mainline Assassin's Creed games. Recently, I did just tackle the most recent game in the series, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and since it's been 13 years, give or take a few months, I thought, let's go back to the beginning. So here we are, a somewhat comprehensive review of the game that launched this entire franchise, Assassin's Creed 2007. To say my system specifications are overkill is to put it bluntly. This game is so old that it still has the Ubisoft branded system specifications chart when the game loads. It tells you what CPU and GPU are required, and there's a big green tick or red cross whether you meet the specifications or not. And I find it hard to believe that when I tried to play Prince of Persia Warrior Within, it said my CPU wasn't powerful enough, but on this same screen, on a different game by the same publisher, it tells me all's good in the hood. Anyway, let's get on to the comparisons. This game wants a dual-core 2.6 GHz Intel Pentium D or AMD Athlon X264 3800 or greater. For the GPU, it wants an NVIDIA GeForce 6800 or greater, or an ATI Radeon X1600 or greater, and a gigabyte of system RAM. Long gone are the days of 1 gigabyte system RAM and ATI. I don't even think Windows will run on a gigabyte of system RAM. Anyway, my specs are the Intel Core 7700K, the GTX 1080 and the 32 gigabytes of RAM. So my friends, with this information in mind, let's go talk about the game's performance. Assassin's Creed ran perfectly in my system. Some older games require patches and community bug fixes and deep dives into forums from back in the day in order to get them to run smooth. Not in this case. Given that this game's from 2007, I didn't actually have any issues just cranking the graphics sliders to the limit. I get that the game isn't Crysis, but sometimes you do need to be a little careful. Today was not one of those days though. Buttery smooth, 150 FPS. Even though I do kind of have an overkill system, you might think, well that's kinda low. Gotta bear in mind, this is the highest settings. Atop this, the game's geography does play a huge part. There are tons of domes and circles in places like Acre, Jerusalem and Damascus due to the practiced religions and the architectures of said cities. You don't exactly want to have a low poly count on something so pivotal to the setting like a synagogue or a mosque. Now you know what I love about the Assassin's Creed franchise? The movement, the freedom and the speed of running around rooftop to rooftop, and the speed at which you can carry out these movements. Like a fluid action essentially. That is in the later games in the series, however. Assassin's Creed has this thing where it happens to be the first game in the series coming off the back of Prince of Persia. Thus it's a little bit janky. Everything's slower and you don't exactly scale buildings with the speed of Arno or zip to the top with the technology of Jacob and Evie. You have a solid 9.5 fingers and all you can do is climb. It's slow but also drives home the skill and care that would actually be needed to climb these buildings in real life. Now the combat is fun, none of your big flashy colours, oh no you sir, nope, you just gotta watch for the telegraph like it's a good old fucking game that isn't handing you everything on a silver platter. You also need to be aware of the enemy type just by looking at them. Oh, you might be able to counter kill some guy extremely easily because he's wearing brown, but his buddy in grey, you could be countering him all day and just punching him in the gut. It can also just be downright suicide when you take on a group of guards. Just countering blows from behind will do nothing. You actually have to make an effort to step into the counter from behind whilst countering, else you're just going to take the hit. It's simple stuff like this that actually make the combat in this game better than the combat in most other games. But Syndicate will always be the funniest. Now the thing about the missions in Assassin's Creed is you get very little personal stake in them. You're a soldier carrying out orders, and as such, your kills are clinical and powerful. I've had a hard time doing classic aerial assassinations given that you need the person dead. 9 times out of 10, when you go to do it, your guy just kind of drops down and stabs them in the back. Like usually it is just a case of walking up to someone, wedging the hidden blade in between their gut or between 2 vertebrae and curtains. In carrying out these orders, you do get charged with several little things, such as eavesdropping on a private conversation in view of the entire fucking city, pickpocketing information from someone in front of the guards who will do fuck all, or beating information out of someone like a mobster. And that's the only one where you need to be in a dark alley out of the way of everybody else, because when too many people get involved, mission failed. More often than not, you'll find yourself coming to the aid of random people in the city, which is really good. If you stop the guards from harassing a woman, then some vigilantes may help you out in a chase, and that's really helpful. Or, if you stop them from harassing a scholar, then more scholars walk that street. In turn, if you kill someone and guards see you, you can quickly slip into a group of scholars, problem solved. Or if you're in a massive chase, run by some vigilantes and they're going to take out a few of the guys to make it a little easier. It does help if you're good at the combat though, because sometimes one of these is faster than the other. Now we're going to talk about the story, and to talk about the story, you got to remember, Assassin's Creed has 2 separate pieces, the A line and the B line. So we'll do a little bit on both. You are Altair Ibn La'ad, Master Assassin. You are Desmond Miles, Amateur Bartender. Now, we're going to talk about these parallel storylines because this is where it's going to get fun. So let's start with Desmond. Desmond Miles, he was about a 30-year-old something bartender going about his day when he's fucking kidnapped by Abstergo Industries, also known as the Templars. He's held against his will and forced to use a machine they call the Animus. The scientist explains a theory, and real talk here. This sure as fuck sounds plausible. Memories are imprinted in our DNA, called genetic memories. It's the reason why birds know when to migrate, and it's used to explain specific human nature under circumstance. Basic instinct, essentially. They're trying to say that our basic instinct is memories from our genetic grandfathers and stuff all the way back. That's some cool shit. In Desmond's genetic memory, his ancestor Altair was part of the Assassin's Brotherhood. They fought the Templars during the Third Crusade, and one of these fights, they do come across a little relic of a previous civilization. This civilization was said to be more powerful in every way than the civilizations in the current day, and as such, Abstergo want this relic, and to find its previous resting place, they start doing a deep dive into your memories. Desmond goes along with it because he's really got nothing else he can do, but he does start to feel the bleeding effect. Skills learnt by his ancestor being passed on to him, minus all the training. Before he knows it, Desmond starts seeing things around the place that he's been kept in, and it all comes together at the end of the story. Whilst going about his day-to-day though, Desmond does find some items of interest that can help further the lore. He does need to pay attention to what's being said and certain cinematics. Even I learnt some new things when playing this, and I played this game like 8 times. Altair. In a mission to retrieve an artifact from a tomb, Altair and 2 other assassins stumble upon some Templars. Within the scope of the mission, Altair managed to break all of the tenets of the Creed. After narrowly escaping, he reports back to the Grand Master telling him what's going on, but one of the members from his party shows up who's extremely wounded and tells him of how Altair managed to throw the mission. A few seconds later, the Templars attack the town. After this scuffle, Altair is stripped of his rank, given a little stab, and told he has to work his way back by killing high-value Templar targets. So Altair goes through the Holy Land killing all of these Templar people. Each time he learns a little bit about their true motives and their creed, and often questions what they've said to his master and what they could mean. Whilst initially seeing his task as trivial, Altair does soon come to learn their true purpose, and this all comes to fruition when Altair has to fight his master, who was actually a Templar to begin with. The story definitely isn't much to write home about, but the thing is, it's excellent sequel bait, and it did take us 2 years and just a few little tweaks here and there, but within those 2 years, they managed to create what people call the best Assassin's Creed game. Those people are wrong, but they can have their opinion, sure. The story of Assassin's Creed holds more lore than I can recount, but it's good to go back to basics, and knowing where we started and knowing what we have now, it certainly is impressive. It can just go to show how much has changed in game design over the years, but that's a different conversation for a different person that I ain't having. The fact of the matter is, this very basic game with a surprise plot twist in the last 5 minutes has managed to span into a massive series that shows no sign of stopping. How many historical events do you think could actually be fit into the Assassin's Creed franchise? We started with the Third Crusade, went to the Italian Renaissance, we now somehow have the Vikings invading England, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and fuck even the Industrial Revolution, a completely different type of revolution. But we all know we ain't getting a game set in Japan. Now, given this game's so old, it doesn't feel right grading it. Even in the lowest end PC and any hardware from the past 5 years, it could easily run this game. What I will say is that for a game that is indicative of its time, it does set up a longer story, but I don't think anyone expected it to be on the scale that it's on now. Can only hope that the current trajectory is held. So anyway, without further ado, it's a 6 on the story, an 8 on the gameplay, a 10 on the performance. That makes it an 8 out of 10 overall. This game is old, but the performance was definitely going to be top 10. It just worked immediately, I can't say otherwise. The story, though very basic, is purpose-filled, a redemption arc with a plot twist, and the gameplay was strong, and it definitely was built to be added upon in the future. That's really all I have to say in the matter at the moment. Just keep your eyes open for that Assassin's Creed 2 review coming very soon. Till then guys, the usual shite, arrivederci.